Hello. I have no idea what's happening. Um, I'm trying to stream again. Oh, you know what? You would think this would be far easier than it probably is. Um, anyway, let's see what happens in these various places. Okay, I am live, I believe, on Facebook. What's happening here? It's very complicated and very confusing, and it would be great if someone could just say hi so that I know somebody's watching. I'm not sure. I'm actually streaming to YouTube, but there you go. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because if I don't actually say something that's constructive in any way, shape, or form, then it'll be time not to be doing this, and I'll not have said anything. So the thing that brings me to being live this morning is the fact that it's Friday. That's the first thing. It's actually Friday, and Friday is the most important day of next week, as well, because what you do on a Friday has a significant impact on next week. And there's a few interesting things in there. I've been preparing for something that I'm doing at 10 o'clock today with one of the local authorities. And I'm doing a little hour and a half thing, just mainly talking about emotions and where they all come from, and kind of how we can kind of manage them. And it struck me when thinking about emotions that that if we're not careful, we're at the mercy of them, aren't we? And we have to develop an ability to step back and tune in as an observer of ourselves. And this is resonating with me very well now, because of the problems I've had with trying to get this stream up and running this morning. I mean, it's working on Facebook. Don't know if it's working here, but never mind. You are not your emotions. This is the key thing here. You are not your emotions. We have to observe our emotions, but not be them. We have to observe our emotions, but not be them. Emotions are not a direct result of the situation. Instead, what they do is they capture our evaluation of the situation. I think that's important. They're a biological phenomena, I suppose, aren't they? They're a biological phenomena. The emotion we feel, the feelings inside, the feelings in our head, are a manifestation of some sort of chemical or biological response created through maybe a threat that we see, or whatever we perceive in front of us creates a biological marker, or biological markers, I suppose, that mean we then feel a particular emotion, but we are not that emotion. And I think we have to think of this in terms of where do you go physically when you're feeling something like this, as well as where do you go emotionally. And I think that's one of the reasons why things like the Wim Hof method work, and why Shakti mats work, and all those kind of things, because we learn to detach our emotions, our mental being, from our physical being. So it's important. It's important when we're working with people that we learn to kind of manage the emotional content of our lives, isn't it? And I was drawn to having a think about the Chimp Paradox, a book by Steve Peters, and he says that we have different systems in our brain, and we have to get these systems on our side. And again, these ideas permeate, don't they, through all of the things I talk about, because he talks about getting these different systems on our side. There's a system there to be managed, be in control or not in control. And that just resonates with David Allen's Control It or It Will Control You, and resonates with Daniel Kahneman's System 1 and 2, System 1 being our kind of automatic brain, and System 2 being our more deliberate brain. The paradox that he alludes to, because he talks about like our inner chimp and all that kind of thing, and that we're essentially hamstrung by having this really complex brain sat on top of a really primitive brain, if you like, or an element of our brain is really advanced, an element of our brain is really primitive. And he talks about the fact that he talks about being angry, but it works for any emotion, really. When we feel an emotion, it's a message from our brain saying something out there is affecting us. Maybe something isn't right. So something like anger, overwhelm, frustration, it's an indicator that something isn't right, and we need to do something. That we need to do something about it. And he talks about reflection being the key element to managing this this schism between these elements of our brain, I suppose. Engaging, he says, the rational part of your brain. So Kahneman's system true, the being in control part, setting our attention to a particular task and controlling that task as we do it. Making sure that we're getting input from the right parts of our brain and getting the expertise. He uses that word, getting the expertise from those parts of our brain that are absolutely crucial to us. So that there's expertise rooted in these elements of our brains. And Pete says you can see us. Well, Pete, thank you for doing that, because YouTube doesn't look as though it's streaming. Facebook looks as though it is. So maybe I don't need to do as much as I think. Anyway, so we're talking about we'll get back to the emotions. Thanks. That's really kind of made me go, because all the time, this is the problem, isn't it? This is the problem. When it gives me a good thing to talk about. When our attention is divided. So I'm trying to talk to you about emotions here, right? And all the time I'm talking to you, in my brain it's niggling away going, I don't think this is streaming to YouTube. I don't think this is streaming to YouTube. I don't think this is streaming to YouTube. Go and have a look. Go and have a look and see what you can see. Go and have a look, see what you can see. That's going round and round in my brain, isn't it? While I'm trying to talk about this. So, two systems in the brain. We have to control our emotions. Reflection is the key. He says this is really interesting. And it makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. And it might make you feel a bit uncomfortable. He says we are 100% accountable for managing our inner chimp. We are 100% accountable for managing our emotions. But we're not responsible for how we're built. Yeah, we're built the way we're built, but we're responsible for the outcome of that system, that biological system. Because we can do things, can't we? And I've talked about these in other places. We can do things so that our emotional triggers aren't as hairline. I mean, the thing that I would take you to is kind of, if I have a few drinks on a night and I'm feeling a bit groggy the next morning, I'm proper grumpy. So that's something I can deal with. I can do something about that. I'm accountable for that. I am accountable for making sure that I'm not grumpy. I'm accountable for making sure that I haven't had a few beers the night before and I'm now not focused. Yeah. So reflection is the way that we manage this inner chimp, because if we don't, then the inner chimp is allowed to just run riot and control us rather than we controlling it. And David Allen's talking about controlling your workflow and that kind of thing, but it works here as well. Control your emotions or they will control you. Being angry is not a good place to be. And there's a thing called the refractory period. And that's the length of time after we've had an emotional experience that it takes us to return back to kind of balance, to homeostasis, to equilibrium. And that's with good emotions and negative emotions. There's a period of time that it takes us to return to that state of calm. And it's different for all of us. It's different for all of us for different emotions. So once you've allowed your emotion to run riot, you are now at the mercy of that emotion for potentially a considerable length of time. And you won't know until you learn how to experience it. So we have to learn about our emotions. And Peter says there are three things in his Chimp Paradox book. He says there are three things: reflection, or we risk running in chimp mode all the time, discussing your reflection with other people. Here's what it's like when I do this. Here are the emotions that I feel. Here are the things that I need to consider and ponder. What do you think? Yeah, that'd be good. Be good to think about that. Yeah, that's probably the cause. Yeah, that's probably a solution. That's really good. And he says then have plans. Have plans. Don't just sit there. Figure out how to get what you want. So if it's emotional regulation around, your planning, if it's emotional regulation around relationships, if it's emotional regulation around kind of driving your car to work in rush hour, whatever it is, have plans. Have plans. Identify high value strategies that leverage the most in terms of this emotional regulation. They'll be different for us all. Certainly my emotional regulation is rooted in regular exercise and regular planning. Yours will be different. Yours will be different. We need to figure out what those are. So I think I'm getting used to this a little, maybe used to this whole Veed Live thing, and maybe this is going to both places. It sounds like it is. So that's really good. So it'll get a bit more slick as time goes on, but we have nice things up here now and down here. So that's really good. It's all a learning curve, isn't it? Every day is a bloody school day. God, when will I be able to stop learning new stuff? Never, because we must always constantly evaluate and develop. That's so important, isn't it? So important. So remember, these emotions are subjective. They're biological. They're under our control. They must be under our control. We must be accountable for these things. We must explore them and think about, why do I end up feeling like this? What is it? Could be other people, but why do I end up feeling like this when I'm with this person or when this person does that? What do we do with that? Reflection is key, or you're running chimp mode. Discuss your reflection with other people, and then plan the hell out of that. Plan the hell out how to avoid feeling that emotion. What's getting in the way? We go into autopilot habits all the time, don't we? We go into autopilot habits all the time. Then it turns out the way it always turns out. And we go, it's turned out the way it's always turned out again. Yeah, that's because you went into an autopilot mode habit. Same habits, same results, different habits, different results. Get yourself planning for next week so that all your ducks are in a row so you can have nice weekends. This Friday is the most important day of next week. Don't forget to subscribe, click the link and do that. It's really helpful to me because it bumps you up in all sorts of metrics. Like it, retweet it, do all that kind of stuff. I would love you forever. I love you forever anyway, but I'll love you forever and a bit if you do all of that for me. That'd be really nice if you could. So take care and hopefully see you on Monday morning. Bye now.